location thing here live as well. So great to have such a great huge audience here, and that also addresses that we have chosen the right topic for this workshop, because I think a lot of students go through this phase where we are creating the perfect shortlist for ourselves, but we don't know what filters to put. That's why this workshop is there today, conducted by Ace My Prep. And let's going forward, just a small introduction, a quick introduction of who we are and what is our mission. We have helped over 10,000 students abroad in the past, 5 or 6 years, and these two are our co-founders. One of the co-founders is on the call with us. If you can see her, it's Pragya ma'am, right? So she herself has tagged into big universities such as RWTH in Germany and Penn State Wharton. So the mission is simple: to give the most unbiased guidance. I won't stress upon it more, right? It's just a simple mission that we want to give you the best guidance possible. We ourselves, me and Pragya ma'am, both together have lost around 6-7 months when we were searching for universities, because there's a lot of chaos in this industry. No one there to perfectly guide us. Okay. So moving forward, the first question, let's make it a little more interactive. Okay. I believe all of you guys have taken out time on your Saturday to come here. So let's make this 40 minutes, very interactive for us. The first question itself is, what's your dream university? So you can just write it down in the chat box as well. If you have any dream universities that you want to mention here, I can see all of them live, right? So yeah, I can see Stanford and okay. More numbers, guys, more numbers. Anyone who wants to get into any big universities. Basically, I'm trying to get what my audience wants, right? So are you really looking at top universities? That is the question here. I can see Northeastern University here. Okay. You can see it is on our top admits page as well. So Northeastern can definitely be. We have a good history with Northeastern University. There's John Hopkins, Imperial. Okay, all the big names. Basically, whenever I Google the top 10 universities, I can see those names here. Okay. Going forward, what we want to suggest is, in the past 7 years, we have catered to so many students, and all of these students, most of them, 50%, 60%, have gone into these kind of schools only. So I'm glad that the audience can connect with us, because our alumni are sitting in those universities. Plus, there is a huge advantage when you go to these universities. You'll always have 3 or 4 familiar faces moving forward, right? And this is something just to create that trust factor. We have catered to so many students, and this is the Google review, that I'm sharing with you. Just a quick glimpse of what we have done and how people have reciprocated, how the students have felt throughout our 7-year-old journey. We have a 5 on 5 star rating on Google, so I think it's self-explanatory that we put heart and soul for every student, right? And we are trying to bring a huge change, a revolutionary change in this industry. This workshop is just the starting layer. There will be a series of workshops where we will be debunking myths about this particular industry. What is the study abroad thing actually can boil down to for you, right? The best options for you. And today's host will be me. I'm a senior career counselor here. My name is Nikhil. Short introduction. I've applied all over Europe and US. I've got into the top admits, WHO being one of them, and in US as well, like John Hopkins. And Pragya ma'am already, explained her profile to you. She is a top admit for Penn State Wharton, which is #1 MBA around the world, right? So no one better to guide you guys more than her and me together, right? And moving forward, let's have a quick rapid fire, guys. Okay. So I'm gonna make 3 polls live, right? I'm just putting these screens for 10 seconds maximum. You just have to mark whatever poll, whatever would you choose. If this was a free giveaway, right? If this was a free giveaway, if I would have, right now marked, I'm giving you either a Maruti Alto or a Mercedes Benz, which one would you have chosen? It's a simple question. I don't think so. You need a lot of time to answer that. Great. So I have received, I think, 100% Mercedes Benz. Let's move forward. Another poll, a simple question again, 10 seconds. Just click on what you would have chosen if I was giving this for a free giveaway, right? Very basic thing. Again, 100 on 100% has gone for the mansion. This is just a quick review. And the last one, I think the answer is pretty obvious here, right? But yeah, I'm just taking a poll. There's just an icebreaker to understand if my audience today at the workshop is rational or not. It's a simple question, right? Great. So that's what I wanted. Okay, so 3 questions, very basic. So you also know what we have voted for. I don't even see 95 or 99%. I see 100% towards the better products, the better things that you are on. This is the theme of today's workshop, guys, right? So I'll slow down a little here. This is the theme, and you need to understand this before going forward. What we will tell you, what the conversation will go from now on till the next half an hour is going to be around this. What is better for you? You also know, right? You will go for the obviously better choices in your life if provided at the same stage. You are going to make a decision for your career, for you are making the biggest investment in yourself, that is around 40 to 50 lakhs, and you need to choose the better option. It's as simple as that, right? Moving forward, the topic here is how to create your shortlist, right? What will you learn today? So these are our 3 objectives that we will cover today. What will you learn? The first is the 5 steps to a perfect shortlist, right? How to gather here those particular methods and how to gather those filters on how to create the perfect shortlist. The top 3 shortlisting mistakes, right, that students make while shortlisting, and why top tier universities. And stay tuned till the end of this workshop because there's a free giveaway of all the universities that have GRE waivers for fall 2020, right? So, like as we are beginning this workshop, Pragya ma'am, if you would like to add something to it, what will we learn today, and how are you going to help us? That would be great.
All right. First of all, welcome everybody to this workshop, and I'm hoping you're going to learn a lot by the end of it. Introducing myself, I think Nikhil has given a brief introduction. So my name is Prag. I'm the co-founder of Ace My Prep, and today I'm here to sort out all your doubts, particularly related to shortlisting. When we start with a dream, and you, all of you, I'm sure you would have your own dreams to land to a very good school, right? But everything starts at shortlisting, right? So you need to select the perfect schools that will not only just stay good in terms of ranking, but it is about your future, right? So this workshop particularly is really important if you are getting started, if you are already into your process. In fact, I can see some of my students here, right? Hi, Aditya. I can see that you have joined them today. I can see Shubhajit is here, right? And of course, for the students who have not yet started, I see a lot of people here. There's Pulkit, there's Srishti, I can see Ruchika, I can see Jyotirmay. So welcome everybody. Stay tuned till the end of it because we have some really important pointers to be covered around shortlisting. Let's proceed with understanding what are eventually our 5 steps that can help you create a perfect shortlist, right? So now I'm going to hand over the call to Nikhil. Firstly, let's understand what's actually a perfect shortlist, right? So Nikhil, handing over to you. Let's start with what exactly do we mean when we say a perfect shortlist, and then let's proceed towards understanding what are the 5 steps that are going to help everybody.
Right. Rather guiding them, I would say, ma'am, I would just share my experience, right? So what did I need when I was going abroad, right? I was thinking about studying abroad. I needed a good course first of all. So that's the first thing. Map course with ROI, right? So we will go into much details going forward. These are the 5 steps just for you guys to understand what will be the chronological order of how we will go forward, right? The first is map your course with the return of investment. See, we are all Indians and we need that return of investment factor, right? So it should be one of our priorities. Then you check your entry requirements because every university themselves have published the entry requirements on their website. So it's not something new. We are not teaching you how to do magic here. It's just the data, and we just need to align ourselves with the data. Analyze the class profile. Now every university also pays this on their website itself. So again, not a magic thing. It's just that you need to decode those numbers, decode those statistics to align with it yourself. Checking the curriculum. Now, if you're spending 40, 50 lakhs, obviously you want a curriculum that you like. And the last is partner versus premium. So this is the debunking part, debunking a myth part of the workshop. The last one, it will be saved for the best is saved for the last. So we'll wait until we understand all these basic factors and then move towards the partner versus premium, right? So I think everybody is ready, and I can see a lot of interaction already going on. Great. So let's move forward. Let's dive into the actual workshop. Let's begin that. before we do that, just one particular thing, I need you guys to note down this profile. Okay. So this is one of our, star students, Anmol. She has recently applied in September 22 itself. I'm not revealing which university did she get into, because first I need you guys to understand where actually, she went wrong initially and what did she do right to get into that university, right? So this is the basic student case, basic profile. I'm sure you can relate with your profile as well. She had a basic 7.5 CGPA. She was a BTech student, 7.5 CGPA. She didn't give GRE. So this is a huge question that I have been receiving for the past week, since we have made this webinar live, that if we are covering this part. Yes, we are covering this part, where we are asking you if you are going for a GRE based course, or we are giving you solutions around the GRE waiver as well. She had 3 years of work experience, so it's just a decent profile. Okay, so it's just a decent profile, and you have to guess her target university, right? Just imagine if you are enrolled right now, you have a 7.5, you're sitting in India, in Lucknow, working at one particular firm. You haven't given any GRE, you have just 3 years of work experience. Where do you think the best university that you can crack into, right? So you can write it in the Q&A as well, right? Whatever universities that you think she can get into, right? Depending on your research or any guesses also can work. That's not a problem at all. Okay. So this is one question that I need you guys to keep, right? Guess and down her school, right? So please keep guessing. I can see a lot of answers already, but yeah, keep guessing. We'll move along with Anmol's profile, and we'll create the perfect shortlist for Anmol as well, right? On this live on this call. And similarly, you can also learn together with her experience, right? Chalo, let's go. Let's move forward. The first step. The first step is map your course with ROI factors, right? So this is the step one. I think Pragya ma'am, you can also join in here. You can give your insights regarding these 3 pointers, that is job roles, salaries, ROI, right? So you can please explain this to the students as well, as I'm sharing one of our students' workstation.
Right. I think for everybody, when we start off thinking to go abroad, right, we are mostly too much into universities, rankings, right? So sometimes we forget of what do we want to study, right? And I tell the students that don't think about the short term, right? Eventually, you have to study that for 2 years. You have to take on to that career practically for your entire life post that, right? So one thing that is really important is what course option we are selecting basis not just the university ranking, but is that career option really going to help you in the future? And I think especially for us right now, the important thing is is it going to give us a good ROI? Because you're going to invest a lot, right? So if you're thinking to invest somewhere around 40, 50 lakhs, it makes sense to get an average salary that looks somewhere around 80 to 90,000 US dollars, for if I take US as an example, rather than kind of entering the US standard average salary of 40 to 50,000 dollars, right? So I think now this workstation that you have on your screen, it is a core way of how do we figure out that what ROI is linked with different courses, right? So now, Nikhil, let us actually take through the through them every of the course, right? Every column. What do we mean by job profiles? Let's understand what is the average salary. How did we actually find that? Let's actually understand the entire structure first. Let's get into the details, right?
Okay, great. So I'll just give a quick introduction, right? So Mansi also is one of our students, and she was looking initially at public administration or public policy for beginners, right? So the first thing that you need to do, guys, all of you students right now, is to think of every particular course that you can go for. So 80% of you guys, this is the last, master's course that you are targeting, or maybe the penultimate, right? So it needs to be in the right direction. Bachelor's was fine, right? And if you're going for bachelor's, if there are any students for bachelor's, then great, you can make a right decision straight out of your school. Okay. So you need to be a little careful and judge around the data that we can present, right? Data that you can find on online, right? You need to find a trustworthy source and align like this. So what we did with Mansi was we discussed all the particular course options that she had, right? I gave her the job profiles that she will get with every course option. For example, if you take public administration in US, these are the top job profiles right now in the US economy. These are the top average salaries of these particular average salaries of these job profiles. And this is a curriculum of Nottingham University, right? So what you see here is a complete structure. if you pursue public administration, this is the curriculum that you have to follow. These are the job profiles that you can target, and these are your average salaries. So in a crisp, way, we have given you the 3 or 4 year career blueprint of yours, where your next 2 years will go, where your next after the 2 years, where your next 3 years will go, and how to make the ROI out of it, right? If I am guiding you towards a 50 lakh university, I'll also guide you. We'll also guide you towards a 90 lakh or a 1 crore job. And this is not something that I'm just speaking out to, enlarge it in your mind, but it is done every day here, right? And it is possible if you just follow a structured process. So how does this usually work is, you maintain all of this, you draw one chart and you put all of your options here, and you can understand which particular course is the best for you. So you map your ROI with your particular course. So this is the first step that you need to understand, guys. After this, like in our AMT process, we mark it red or green. So it's basically, if it is red, obviously you're not interested, and if it is green, great. Now we can move forward with that course, right? So Pragya ma'am, if you want to add something more to that, more than welcome here.
So I'll take a very quick example for all of you, right? So imagine you have done your graduation in computer science, right? Now, ideal way is to go for masters in computer science, which is a natural instinct, right? Because it's the next immediate program, right? But that is exactly where we are telling you to stop and rethink. For example, now computer science, it has become a world of its own, right? Now computer science is so big. You have AI, you have ML, you have data science, you have these courses offered as specializations. You have masters of computer science, with a specialization of AI, ML, or you might have independent programs like masters in AI or directly masters in ML, right? Now, what exactly happens is when I go from a course like Masters of Computer Science with AI versus Masters in AI, the kind of subjects that I'm going to study that changes. So therefore, before you jump onto your course, you have to see the course curriculums, and that is exactly why on this workstation you have the first column of understanding what subjects are there, right? Next thing, once I've decided, okay, Masters in AI looks good to me, right? The course curriculum is not very advanced, I can go with it. Then you have to understand if I'm dealing with that kind of advanced curriculum, is it going to really repay me with that kind of salary, right? And therefore, we come to the next column, which talks about the average salaries, right? Now, one question might be that how did we figure out and how did we actually find this data, right? So, our data analysis is based on a data collection of over 1 lakh to 2 lakh pointers. This is a data set that we have created from using LinkedIn and all other job portals all across the globe, right? So that is one help definitely you can get from our end. But if you're a rookie and you want to take this task, on your own plate, you can visit some of the latest job portal websites like Indeed or Seek, right? Or any other portal that runs. For example, for UK, you can go to read.co.uk, right? Now use these portals to identify the average salaries, right? But actually, it doesn't stop there, because if you want to work in AI, you can either work as a software developer in AI, or you can actually become a scientist, or you can actually be just in a research role. You can also become a professor in the field of AI, right? So the next instance is to actually identify what kind of job role do I want, right? So, for example, we have a student who wanted to become a software architect, but he said, I want to do a master's in computer science. Now, using this course, it would have taken him 5 to 6 years to go to that hierarchy level, right? But if he did a simple course in AI directly, right, he would have landed that job in just 2 to 3 years, right? And that is why job roles is also an important point to understand here, right? So if I put this in a very summarized way to you, when you have to decide your course basis your ROI, first understand what kind of course subjects you will study. Secondly, understand what kind of salary brackets will you get according to that. Understand the kind of job roles you will get. And even so, what we do for our students is also we write the top companies that they can get through with that, who are offering those kind of jobs at this instance, right? Now, the universities abroad, they recently, have started this thing. They give out reports of their every year employment, which is a good way for you to find this information. Of course, you can reach out to us if you more, kind of need more info on that, right? Yes, over to you, Nikhil.
Okay, great. So I think that was like humongous amount of information, and everyone that is right now listening to this, If you can take notes, please do take notes. We have covered as much as possible in the PPT, but if you want to take notes, you're more than welcome, right? And now coming back, so this was the first step, right? So I guess you can write it in the Q&A section if you have any doubts, and if you have further doubts regarding the step one, because right now we have covered the step one and we'll be moving towards the step two. Okay, and the step two will be something, I think it will be more something, relatable to many of you, right? So I'll just fast forward to it, and this is the major part, right? The entry requirement. So why is this such an important topic is because yes, we want to send you to the biggest universities possible, but this is a basic thing that you should check on your behalf also. As students, just with your curiosity, just go through your dream universities. They have their entry requirements published, right? They have their entry requirements published anywhere, everywhere. So eligibility versus risk factor is the huge thing that we need to cover. Now you need to understand, guys, that we are talking about the entire world here. So that's why I've mentioned three rules here from different particular countries and one particular MBA factor, right? So what do I mean by eligibility? What do I mean when I say if you are eligible or not? Now, if you have graduated right now from a BBA course, BCom, BTech, anything, you've just freshly minted 2022 graduates, unfortunately, in an abroad case scenario, you are not eligible for an MBA. Why? Because MBA work experience required is 3 years, mandatory in 95% of the schools when studying abroad, specifically in the top universities. So if there is somebody who is, advising you, I'm not, talking against someone, but if someone is advising you that MBA is possible straight out of college, that means they are not suggesting you the right thing. You can check it on any big university website. Take Harvard, for instance. Harvard instead has a deferred MBA program. Guys, get your facts straight, because there is a deferred MBA program. That's not an MBA program. A deferred MBA basically means you get an admit in 2022, but you start your classes in 2024 or 2025. Even Harvard knows that you need 2 or 3 years of brilliant corporate experience in order to sustain with the Harvard curriculum, right? Just an example of Harvard, but it is mandatory for all the top schools around the world except the Southeast Asia region. So if you talk about IIMs or so, yes, they do accept freshers more rather than their top universities. As we are covering the study abroad topic, the first is MBA. Just like MBA, there is another rule known in USA, such as a 3.0 and 2.5 rule. So they don't have a percentage system like 100% or a 10 GPA system where you can score a 7.5 or 8. They have a 4 GPA system. Now, out of 4, people who get 3.0 or above are considered to be the first division. 2.5 and above till 3 are mentioned as second division. So this is the division that is very important when you're applying to US universities, because the top 80, top 90 universities in US, MS, MBA, anything that you look at will ask for a 3.2, right? And if you do, if you want a rough conversion, it is 75% in our Indian system. So the rough conversion is around 75%. Right now, guys, if you have any doubts regarding whether I'm eligible or not, you can again post it on the Q&A section. You can directly post it to me or Pragya ma'am as well. We will clear that in private as well. Okay. So this is one rule. And in UK, there is a 2:1 or 2:2 rule. Basically, if I convert it again in Indian layman terms, 2:1 means first division 65% and above. 2:2 means 55%, second division 55% and above. Okay. So in obviously you can judge by this factor. If you change your country from US to UK, you are actually eligible to more tier 1 universities. So these are small data points that no one actually reveals to you, right? Because they usually have different filters. These are the actual filters that matter whether you are eligible or not. So if you are eligible for any particular university, for example, you have 7.5 or more, 75% or more, are you eligible for Stanford? Yes. Now comes the risk factor. Are you very competitive? Are you a competitive profile in Stanford? No. 7.5 is just the beginning. There are around 11, 12 components that you need to match with Stanford in order to be one of the greatest Stanford admits or one of the greatest students in the Stanford application pool, right? So that is what I'm talking about. That is called the risk factor, right? So step two is very simple. We'll get into the risk factor more, but step two is very simple. Decide or decode if you are eligible to the universities or not, the kind of universities that we are talking about. If you are eligible, great. Now go towards the risk factor. If you're not eligible, stop there. There is something that we are doing wrong. If you're not eligible at all, that means we are setting a standard a little too high, or there is something missing on your profile right now. There are certain tricks to even overcome the eligibility factor. And again, stay tuned. We are coming to that. We are coming to every question, because I can also already see some queries about 70%, 72. Can we get a narrow miss? Yes, the narrow miss can be converted also. We'll cover that. But right now, yes, eligibility versus risk factor. This is step 2. Check eligibility and then only move forward. So Pragya ma'am, if you want to add something to this, it will be great.
All right. So first of all, thank you for the great response. I can see some 297 people here. So I'm sure out of all of this number, mostly the doubt that every student has is that if I'm eligible or not, right? Now, first thing that you guys have to understand is there's a difference when we talk about eligibility versus risk factor. So, for example, Stanford says if you have 80%, that's good enough, right? You are eligible, right? But if I have 70% and I don't have experience, am I really so close to Stanford? The answer is no, right? This is what the risk factor is, right? Now, first thing is that if you are ineligible, there is no point applying. So, if, for example, I'll take another very easy example. If a school says that you need at least 3 years of experience before you're applying, for example, most of the MBA programs in the US, then actually you are ineligible. So, if you're making your application, you are bound to get a reject in the next maybe 2 or 3 days, right? But let's say the school puts down the requirement that we prefer a 3 year experience, right? Now, this doesn't make you ineligible, right? It's a preference from the university. And if you're applying without any experience, you are at a higher risk of not getting through. If you're applying with a good experience, then of course you can get through very easily, right? So one thing is that, of course, when you join us, eligibility is something that is a very basic check that is done before even a rookie shortlist is made. Risk factor is something that gets calculated along with, okay, now what is your profile otherwise, right? How many projects do you have? What kind of experience do you have? Are you really confident when it comes to speaking, right? So risk factor is dependent on that, while eligibility is just about, okay, what is your GPA? Is there a particular work experience requirement? If you have IELTS 7 maths, but you needed 8, you're ineligible. So all of these very fixed factors, right? Do not apply to ineligible schools. There is no point. But yes, you can take some long shots if you are eligible and you still think it's your dream school. I always tell my students, take it's worth a shot if your dream school, is there. Even if the name like Duke or Yale exists, do go ahead with it, right? But then calculating this factor, you should also have some names in your shortlist which are a little bit more acceptable, right? So something like maybe Georgia Tech, which is a school that has lesser requirements when we compare it against MIT or Stanford, right? I think we are good to go, Nikhil. We can proceed further. And everybody, please put down any of your doubts that you have. If you have any dream school in your mind, put down your profile, put down your dream school. I'll comment right here about your chances of getting through.
Okay, that's great. I think that will evoke many people to just pen down all the top names for you to evaluate your profile. Great. So this is the step 2, guys, right? And moving forward, let's jump to the step 3. I hope you're making notes, because yeah, these 5 steps, you just need to complete these 5 steps to get your perfect shortlist, right? Now moving towards step 3. Now this is the exact risk factor analysis that we're talking about, right? How to get to know if you're competitive or not. Now, class profile is a humongous data, right? There they mention the age, average age, the GRE, GMAT thing, right? How much GPA do they require? How much work experience do they require? Do they need a research profile or not? All of these things are mentioned on the class profile, right? On the class profile of every university, you can just go program by program and compare yourself to the class profile. Now, is that all? Is that all the factors? No, only 40% or 50% of the factors are mentioned in the class profile. Rest, obviously, we need a little experience. We need someone to guide you if you are actually a good fit for the university or not. But yes, data will definitely help you decode this easily, right? So I'll just quickly go through the pointers, and those are research capability. So there are a lot of research-based universities in US, in UK, right? Like you can take any example from the research-based unit, the federal state. You can look for these words, federal state research universities, and these particular universities will always look at the research capabilities. Do you have any research work published? Which journal is it published? Is it an international journal or national journal or so? If you're applying to such thesis-based courses, these journal publications help you a lot, right? Next is academic readiness, basically your GPA and your BTech or your master's, whatever you have done. Next is work experience and maturity. So, for example, usually when you go for an MBA, they need a minimum of three. Again, you are eligible at 3 years of work experience, but are you competitive? No, because people with 6 or 7 years of experience are also applying for the what an MBA. Now, what an average age is 28, 29. That means if someone graduated at 22, they have 7 years of experience. That's the average. So, if you have 3 years of experience, yes, you are ready for what an MBA, you are eligible, but are you competitive? So that is the question that we are tackling here, right? So it's also a reality check. I'm not saying just to demotivate anyone. It's also a reality check. But that also means that there is a question I can see that if there are there students with just 3 years, yes, there are. Just the percentage is a little low, right? So you need to choose your universities. For example, someone having a non-profit background, that means a lot of non-profit work. Now, University of Rochester is very open towards non-profit work. So it gives you scholarships, it gives you readily admits if you have done more and more of non-profit work. So there are a lot of examples in my mind and Pragamam's mind also. University by university, what do they prefer? What do they prefer? The technical side? Do they prefer the non-technical side? And you need to align your profile towards that, right? Vision for short and long term. Now there are communities that actually want people to be loyal to community, right? For example, if you are a part of a Harvard alumni, you just are not a part of Harvard alumni. You are in a lifelong relationship with Harvard. You will, receive webinar things. You will be invited to co-host. There are a lot of things. Once you become a part of such a huge community, they maintain that relationship, right? So if you are a person who has had long-term relations with their companies also, for example, you joined a company, you left only after 3 years, that shows stability. For someone who loves 6 months, such 6 months program, another university might be the target. Not such universities that are looking for loyalty or looking for long-term relations. Because there are certain universities in the Silicon Valley that are quick in, quick out. That also believe that let's do the ROI and let's get over with, right? So you need to match a vision and for short and long term. How will you contribute towards the community itself? Focus and continuity of future plans. So this is clarity basically. I will just summarize it. It's clarity. Do you have the clarity of where you're going? Great. Can you showcase that in your essay and in an interview? Great. If you can do that perfectly with your profile experience as well. For the past, they will look at your past 3 years. So past 3 years, you have done everything that has been building up to this course. Great. You are a person with clarity who had planned this out entirely. So you become more attractive, right? Course-wise skills, obviously every course like business analytics needs more and more of programming things and a little bit ease with soft skills as well. Confident personality wins because if there is an interview round and if you're not confident enough for that interview, no matter how good the paper application is, you will be blocked, right? So these are the some steps. Not every university will also have an interview, right? I'll share the workstation of Mansi again, where you will see all the filters that we put before we make the shortlist, so that you can see in real time how does the shortlist making looks. Until then, ma'am, you can give your inputs on these particular 8 pointers as well.
Sure, Nikhil. So before I move on to that, we have one question from Jyotirmai. So, okay, you're really aiming for Columbia, right? And you have CGPA of 9.12, IELTS 7 bands, right? About 6 bands for each section. GRE is to be scheduled and you're preparing. 168 is your point score, right? So, see, when you're applying to Columbia, Columbia is a school that is very, very creative, right? Now they actually foster more of your creativity and overall personality more than anything, more than even your grades, right? Seeing your CGPA, you have a pretty decent chance to get into Columbia. But I think what importantly you have to target is, so for example, if you're aiming to apply for an MBA, Columbia is more about a collective feeling. Columbia represents a very close family of alumni, right? So they're very, very close to all the students who have ever started at Columbia. And even at their classes, they foster this kind of relationship. So in your profile, if you can highlight the fact that you're very adaptive, right? Secondly, you're mature to changing clients, right? Or people you're speaking to. This would actually increase your chances of getting through Columbia more than ever. All right. Talking about the points that we have, right? So first thing is that when we say a profile is not really just your academics, right? Profile academics is a very, very small part, right? And even academics, I think we approach that in a very different way. Academics doesn't mean that I have just 9 CGPA, because, for example, one school might say that I'm going to look at your overall CGPA for the entire degree, but there might be a school that says I am just going to look at the CGPA in your last 2 years, right? So you have to exactly look for what the school needs. Plus, the point that was written on the screen was not academics or percentage; it was about academic readiness. And here is where the difference lies, right? So when I say academic readiness, it is not to tell that I had 9 CGPA or I was the topper. It's to tell them that once I'm going to come to your school, I am capable enough to deal with academics that are going to be a little bit advanced, right? Now, for that, I will not really, put all my stress upon my CGPA. I will actually highlight the important things in my academics even. So, for example, I got 8.1 personally as my engineering, graduation marks. But I didn't make that the highlight. What I did was I did, engineering in electrical, and I just highlighted the grades that I had in the top electrical subjects that were very core. So I could tell every school that more than anything, more than all the subjects, I was a topper in the exact subjects that were very close to my, area of study, right? Now, there are students sometimes, you don't have good grades in the starting of your academics, but you have a good trajectory towards the end. Highlight that, right? If you had a break in between, right, and there was a semester that you didn't actually score very well, mention that in your recipe explaining the reason, right? And always be confident. Tell them and hammer the point again and again that once I'll be there, I can handle the advanced level of academics you might give to me, right? The next point, when I see all of the other pointers, I will quickly club them out because all of them are somewhere related to your specialty, right? One thing that I'm going to tell you is don't try to highlight everything, right? So if I'm Stanford and I have 20 seats, I don't care if one person has all the qualities. What I need is one person who's very good at academics, one person who's very good at maybe research, one person who's very good at, let's say, music, right? So I don't have to tell I have everything. But if I'm good at research, and guys, this is something that I personally did with my IWT application and from Wharton, I just hammered the point that I was good at. I had been researching for the past 3 years. That is the only thing that I told them, right? So have focus, and that is where rest all the points are connected. How can you actually make it very actionable is first write down your short term goal, right? And it can't be working with the company, right? A short term goal is more about the job role that you want to work on. Then write down your long term goal, right? What do you think? You want to be VP at sales, right? Or do you want to be in the finance sector, whatever your dream is, right? Now then map it according to what you have on your plate right now. Do you have something in terms of research, in terms of project that you've done currently that matches? If not, don't worry, we need profile enhancement. And what you can see on the screen right now, you have all these columns. This is a workstation that we built for every student, which almost has somewhere around 30 columns, right? Why we do that is because we want you to understand the exact detail the school is wanting, right? So for example, if you're confused about your GRE score, the class average profile says that the GRE score is 326. It doesn't mean that if you have 320, you will not get through. That means you have to highlight logical ability more, right? Out of the 8 pointers, don't try to achieve all of them. Try to achieve one out of it. That is the advice that I'm going to give to you, right? Now, before we move forward, I think, Nikhil, let us explain this workstation quickly so that I would want all of you should create this exact workstation for yourself, see what all matters when it comes to making a shortlist. And this actually is a very final step of making a shortlist, right? So when you've already selected maybe 50 schools and you have to finalize the 10 schools you're applying to, this sheet is what you should create. So Nikhil, let us quickly go through all the columns and explain what and why the filters are there.
Yeah, okay, great, ma'am. So moving forward, right? So I'll just go through. I'll not go through every column with you guys because most of the columns you guys understand already. But the first, this is another particular thing that you need to keep in mind when you're applying to US, right? So these are the small pointers that you need to make sure that your shortlist includes. Like in US, you have to make sure that your university or the course in that university to be particular has STEM accreditation. Is it a STEM designated course? Because usually when you apply to US and you get through a course, the government gives you a mandatory 1 year of post study work visa. Whereas if you go for a STEM accredited course or a STEM designated course, you get 3 years of post-study work visa. So it's very common sense. Every Indian going will want a 3-year post-study work visa so they can earn more, they can get a better ROI. A very simple filter, but I have seen people, I have seen around 1,000, 2,000 students coming up to me from US itself and telling me that they have unfortunately landed into a non-STEM course and they want to do the process again, right? Because they've been misguided. It's very easy to be misguided in this industry. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. There are a lot of blogs about it. Read more. And this is the first filter that I put for any student that is going to US, right? Then comes the entry requirements, like 3 GPA is mandatory for all these universities, as Mansi was targeting good universities, top universities, right? Then comes, these are the details, right? The SOP. What kind of an SOP do we need to filter out? Now, whenever you're making a shortlist, make sure it is aligned to this also. If you're comfortable with a video essay, great, go for video essay. Video essay universities like Georgia State requires a video essay right at the time of application. Now, this also becomes a very important part. If you're an extrovert, it adds to your advantage because many people don't apply seeing this video essay, right? If you're an introvert kind of person and doesn't want it, avoid it. It's as simple as that. We have to just be logical. Number of top universities is not going down. We have to just be selective around the top universities as well. Not every top university is made for your profile. That is the only reality that we need to come to terms with, right? How many LORs do we require, right? So LORs is a pretty decent thing and there is no way around the LOR. So I will definitely, if you're targeting top schools, make sure the LORs are in place. I will not say there is any shortcut around the LORs. The LORs have to be perfect and it have to be from people that have been your supervisors or your professors during your college era. A particular template also of every particular university. Some universities give a particular, like for example, if you're applying to Imperial, they have their own CV template and you have to adjust to that. St. Gallen's, University of St. Gallen's is one of the best MIMs that you can get into the world, and it has its own curriculum vitae template. Doesn't matter if you have got into the biggest companies, you have to follow that template to bring that CV when you're applying to those universities, right? And then obviously if there is an interview or not, if you have to prepare for that or not. Now when you're shortlisting, you can also see the deadlines, right? So if, most of you guys were targeting September 23, so look which university still is in its round one. If there are universities that are still in the round one, that means you have a better chance rather than in a round two university, right? So that is a very basic thing. Again, we are not selling magic here. It's just common sense to make your chances best into those universities. We are still in the top 70 leagues. We are in the top 50, top 70 universities of US, because again, this is a point that I will cover. Why am I saying top 15, not the top 15? Why am I saying that? That will also be covered in the next segment of the workshop, right? Now, duration, this is a normal filter for many people who just want a 1-year course. Some people want a 2-year course because some people think 2 years courses are more authentic. As such, there is no particular thing. Every university has their own particular way of to educate students, so they have their own pace of the curriculum, but still a small preference that can be used. Now, catering to Jyotirmay's also doubt, the GMAT and the GRE, you can see wherever there is a GMAT waiver required, we mark it a waiver, and wherever there is a score required, we mark the GRE score as well. Yes, the class average says Jyotirmay that 168 class average may be there, but yes, even if you miss out, I'm not promoting that you miss out. I'm sure that you can get it. So get it. That's a better option. But even if you miss out, there is a chance you can show your analytical ability through some other process, because even Columbia knows that GRE or GMAT is a per day concept. That means on that day, if something goes wrong, God forbid, if anything goes wrong with any of you guys, this has happened with me also in one of my GMAT centers. There was some disturbance, the entire GMAT scores were cancelled. So there can be a lot of factors affecting your score, and it's a adaptive exam, as you all know. If you make one question right, you get a tougher question next time, or you can get an easier question if you do something wrong. So it confuses your mind as well. So it depends on the day itself. So don't judge yourself by the only one GRE score. People take 5 GRE scores as well, right? So GRE is also something that you can look at. And then comes your tuition fees yearly, scholarships. So there are 3 types of scholarships. Again, this is out of context of how to make shortlist, but yes, some people want universities that have a lot of scholarships, like federal state universities that have research assistantships, teaching assistantships, general assistantships. Not every university have them, only state universities mostly have it, right? So if you are that kind of a person, scholarship becomes a very important filter. So you can see I'm going on and the filters are not ending, and this is from the experience of 7 or 8 years that we are speaking, that there are these many filters that you can put while shortlisting. It just doesn't have to be a ranking. We know that the ROI is the most important factor, and the league of the universities is the most important factor. So if you're targeting top 50, choosing 5 out of 50 is the game that you need to be the best at. So if you are looking for scholarships, then the scholarship column really helps you, right? So more or less that's it. Rate of acceptance also we share. Okay, so there are certain universities that are more, gender equal, I would say. I would not name them, but yes, you will see in the class profile there will be 53-47, right, distribution. But there are universities also in US, in Europe, we have seen where there are 75-25. So obviously we need to avoid those universities if the numbers are not in favor. Okay, so all of this taken into consideration, then we shortlist the 4 5 universities that really are just to us, or something that really impresses us, have met all of our filters. Then you can boil down to 4 5 universities, right? So this is the step number 3, guys. There are so many filters, right? We have made this live, all these filters live. You can copy the format also, you can create your own shortlist basically. And I hope this was of some help, because this was a big chunk. The third step was a big chunk, right? Anything that you want to add, Pragya ma'am, you can definitely, as I'm moving towards the step 4 now.
All right. I think, yes, all of these filters are really important. But yes, for individually all of you, it will change. The priority of these filters might be different. For somebody, the scholarship might be more important, right? But for a different student, ranking might be the only lead, right? So you have to first prioritize your filters in your head, get clarity on very basic details like what budget can you afford, right? What location preferences do you have? Post that, I think it is important for you to go to your eligibility, check down what are the SOP requirements, LOI requirements, and then attack your application.
Great. So the next thing is not actually a step. It's something that we have received a query. I can see it on the chat as well. What is WES evaluation? And this is something that we wanted to cover as well. This is an additional information, guys. So answering the question, if you have 70% and the university is asking for 75%, what to do? We are stuck. We don't want to go to the tier 2 universities, but tier 1 universities are not accepting us. What do we do? Also, one another question: do 3 years of does 3 years of bachelor's, is it accepted in US or Canada? Okay, all this particular thing can be solved through a WES evaluation. It's a worldly renowned evaluation. You can just Google it, you will know everything about it. I think most of our students already have the idea, because we have now made it almost a mandatory step for a WES evaluation, right? Because it solves a lot of things. Now, what was WES? I'll just give a quick intro. They simply convert your mark sheets to a US mark sheet. So Indian mark sheet will convert to a US or a Canadian or any other country that you want to go to. They will convert your mark sheets to the international scale, because in India we mark it in out of 100, right? In India we have 3 years courses, but in usually in North American states there are only bachelors of 4 years, no matter what you are doing, right? So it's not our fault. It's not the student's fault in India that there is only a 3 year BCom degree, right? So why are they being punished about it? This has been actually continued for the last 2 decades. There are many cases, you can just read it online, where they have been rejected on this grounds. But there is a solution to this. It's a very easy solution. You just need to upload your mark sheets on the WES portal. The WES, if the WES evaluators will contact your university, they'll get the mark sheets and they'll convert it. I'll show you a live example right now as we talk about it. Just give me a second. This is one of my students, Sadia, right? And she had done her WES evaluation, and I hope you guys can see my screen, right? So this is Sadia's profile. She has just graduated in 2021. It was from University of Delhi. So I think there are Delhi University students also in this, workshop. And she had done a 3 year psychology degree, guys. You must be aware the psychology degree in India is usually of 3 years only. But the Canadian equivalency, you can see it as clear as anything, that the bachelor's degree is now considered as the 4 years. This is the unofficial script that you get as a student, but the official thing is sent to the universities directly. So her 3 year psychology was enough to get her into a top university in Canada, where the demand was to have 16 years of education. The bachelor's degree was enough to show 4 years of education. This is one problem solved. Second problem, guess what Sadhya's percentage was? It was in University of Delhi in psychology. The maximum that you can get, this is from personal experience, and you can ask around. Maximum you can get is 75 or 77%, right? And Sadhya scored as 70. When you're applying abroad, the universities don't have any idea about this. That the maximum awarded is 77. Now, many of you belong from maybe state universities where markings are very different. Some state universities give 95 also. Some state universities maximum go till 75 or 70. Now it's again not your fault, and there is a way around it, right? So how does WES evaluate is WES evaluates around the credit points, what was the average class marks, and eventually Sadhya 70% converted into a 3.46 of 4. That's a huge jump, guys. If I give you the rough analysis of it, the 70% in India converts to a 2.8 or 2.9 in US or Canadian terms out of 4. But she got an evaluation of 3.46, and no one can challenge this, by the way. This is accepted by each university in US and Canada. Okay, you can get it for UK as well, for any of the European country as well. Just taking an example of US and Canada, that yes, it has taken that big of a jump, right? If you are at 71, 70%, 65% also, take the best evaluation. It's a very important document that eventually you have to do it. It's not something that I will make you do, as an extra. Eventually, when you reach US, Canada, or any other particular university abroad, they will ask for the international credential evaluation. There are different names for the international credential evaluation, but WES is accepted worldwide, right? So a very simple solution. There is an organization sitting to solve your problem. You just have to know about it. It's all about the knowledge that gives you the power to solve these problems, right? So I think most of the students will check out the WES website today, right? And I think we have brought a lot of business to WES, to be honest, in the past 6 months, because many universities have made it mandatory to submit a WES evaluation at the time of application. Average time of turnaround time for WES evaluations, 1 month minimum, and the price range of conversions start from 13,000. So this is the basic information regarding the WES. Pragya ma'am, I think Sadhya is your student only, so you can also share your insights about how Sadhya's journey is going because of this WES
Yes.
evaluation.
So about Sadhya, she is a wonderful student aiming only the top schools, right? She had very clearly set in her mind, I want to study at schools like John Hopkins, Columbia, these kind of names, right? Now, for these kind of students, you need to do whatever you have, right? But actually, WES is something that whether you have a very good score, whether you have an average score, whether you have a low score, you should still do it. I would suggest it. You will get something out of it. Either it might speak about the subjects that you have studied and that matches with what you're going to study. That is one analysis the university can get. Secondly, it's about the grade, as Nikhil mentioned, right? So there's so many benefits out of it. So I would say you should definitely invest onto it. I think apart from WES, one thing that is really important is that not every university asks for a 3-year bachelor's or a 4-year bachelor's particularly. It is not really like that. What they calculate is how many number of hours have you studied in that particular setting, right? That is why this entire conversion is needed, right? So somewhere on the website you might see universities put down very particularly we need a 4-year bachelor's. Some write we need a 4-year bachelor's or equivalent, or they might write a bachelor's is okay. Every time even the requirements change. So firstly understand the requirements of the university correctly, then get this process done, initiate it for yourself because it takes time, and I'm sure you will come out with something in your hands.
Okay, great. So, like, there has been a lot of information shared already. So, I'll just break the ice, break the momentum with a little poll, right? So, it's a very simple question. Do you guys have a GMAT or a GRE score? It's as simple as that. So, I want you guys just to, look at the screen. There will be a pop up on your screen regarding this poll. And quickly, just, I just want to know how many people do have a GRE score, or they are looking for GRE waivers as well, right? So, I can see most of the people, 80% of the people not having a GRE score. Okay, we'll provide the solution for that as well. And if you're applying to top universities, GRE score holds a lot of weightage. It ranges from 12% till 30% depending on the university. So, okay, there are a lot of people that have not taken the GRE yet. Guys, if you're targeting September 23, and if you are targeting top universities, it's time to give your GRE already, right? Now, is it delaying your plan? Now, this is the question that we are asking right now. Is the GRE GMAT delaying your plan? If yes, then check for the GRE GMAT requirements, right? There are students that are directly asking us, they are sharing the profile with us. Guys, if you have a GRE GMAT and if it aligns with the class profile, then great. If you don't, that doesn't mean that you are not eligible for the top universities, right? So entry requirements में GMAT score या GRE score अगर mandatory है, you have to have the GRE GMAT score. But if you don't match the class average, it's fine. You are still competitive. Secondly, going for the GRE GMAT, now our giveaway at the end of this webinar is a shortlist, personalized shortlist, and another shortlist of top 25 schools with GRE waivers for fall 23. So I think it will be helpful for 85% of the students because all of them have not given GRE. So I guess that will be a shortlist that will really help you guys. We have curated that from all over the world, 25 schools that have removed the GRE waivers or they're giving GRE or GMAT waivers on certain conditions. And you need to understand this, guys. Doesn't mean that every university will directly give you a GRE or GMAT waiver. No, you need to satisfy some conditions. If you want examples, GPA should be 3.0 or above. You should have a 5 years of managerial experience. You should have displayed analytical skills in your work, right? In your work experience. So these are three examples of how to get a GMAT or a GRE waiver. In addition to this, there is one trick that has helped me a lot of my students. I have helped so many students through this, where we have just drafted one essay, a powerful essay, 250-word essay, attached your resume to it, explaining what is the cause of not taking GRE or GMAT and why, on what grounds do we deserve the GRE or GMAT waiver. So as soon as you communicate with the university, you understand that what the university wants, and this has worked for 80% of the students of mine who have got a GRE GMAT waiver just based on one email, on a very good refined email. Obviously, it takes skills to formulate such emails. What exactly is needed or so we'll definitely go through in some other workshop. But yeah, there is a way around it. And by the end of this workshop, you will receive a shortlist of 25 universities that have GRE waivers for GRE or GMAT waivers for fall 23. Okay, so stay tuned till the end of this workshop. Right. Moving forward, selecting the right curriculum. Now, not every curriculum is also, now if I just talk about MBA, for example, not every MBA, top 15 MBAs, take the top 15 MBAs, right? Top 15 MBA schools in US, are they all the same? Do they have all the same curriculum? No. Kellogg is known for, Northwestern University, I'm talking about Kellogg School of Business, known for marketing. So if you want to learn HR or finance, it's not its flagship course. Every university has their own flagship course. Stanford is known for its tech MBA because Stanford is the land of tech. It is in the Silicon Valley. It's known for its tech MBA, right? More than the marketing or so. Whereas if you look at Wharton, it has an overall MBA that is beautiful. It is number one. It constantly competes for the number one. It is known as a comprehensive MBA, right? So not every curriculum is also made for you. I'm just talking about MBA here. You can look as deep as MS, as ma'am was mentioning during the course and profile options, slide, that there are so many things. There is MS Computer Science, there is MS in AI, MS in Data Science, MS in Analytics, and the numbers go on. So which particular specialization, a simple course versus specialization, which particular is your benefitable? Because most of the people, I'll tell you this and I'll give you a hint here. If you can catch up to it, great. If you can't, then you can book on a one-on-one session. I'll explain you that most people go for the generic course, right? So it's a hint on what exactly is the trend. Why are they going for the generic course? Does this mean that the specialization has less competition? All of these answers we'll get to know. Like if you get on a one-on-one session with me or Pragya ma'am, right? You can post it on the Q&A session as well. Identify research areas and potential supervisors of area of interest, right? So I think, ma'am, you will be able to highlight more on this because you are a research student yourself. I'm more of a business student, so I will keep out of this. So research student, you can definitely share how did you map when you were applying for Wharton, when you were applying for RWTH Icon, one of the greatest research universities in Germany, right? So you can share your experience. I think that will help the students here.
All right. So I think talking about selecting the right curriculum and covering all of these pointers quickly. First thing is that yes, ideally, what you mentioned, Nikhil, is when you have a specialization and you're selecting a program that runs with a specialization, the competition is less, right? So that actually is the logic that works. But yes, it has some pros and cons because when you have a very technical profile, now technical means exactly in your domain, then apply for a specialized program because you have a confident profile as well, right? So first thing you have to figure out is, should I go for a simple program, or do I have good profile enough, technically sound profile enough to go for a specialization? If so, definitely choose that, because you will have a better ROI, you will have higher salary levels. Imagine if you have to go to a doctor, you would prefer going to an MD rather than an MBBS doctor. That's the basic logic. Moving forward, talking about what Nikhil has asked me for is the research areas, your potential supervisor and area of interest, right? So the first thing is supervisor. If I clear this term first, a supervisor is the research faculty that you might reach out to in your university before or after applying, right? So you can even do that once you are there. Now, supervisor is not a mandatory step in every school. Some universities tell you that you need to identify a supervisor before you're going, right? So I'm not talking about those schools, I'm talking about every school in generic. Anywhere, any program, right? Even if you have a kind of area you've been researching upon, you have done some projects, and you even have a vague idea of you what you might be working in. So for example, if I'm a computer science graduate and I want to work in AI, then I should reach out to a professor who has the maximum amount of work, has good enough research papers, review paper, conferences in the field of AI. Even though it is not a mandatory requirement, it brings you closer to the faculty who's eventually going to sit down on your application, right? How to research, the process is pretty simple. Go to the faculty page of your target university, right? Once you have the faculty listed down, segregate them into a list of professors, associate professors, assistant professors, right? Now, the professors are the most toughest people to crack because they would have a lot of work and they're at a better hierarchical level. Assistant professors don't have a lot of liberty on their hands. So, your ideal perfect target to reach out to is the list of associate professors. Now in that list, target the segments and your interest of area. So for example, I was very interested into renewable energy, particularly in the wind energy sector. So I filtered out the professors who had done the maximum amount of work in wind energy, right? And even when I was writing my SOP, I was writing my essays, I mentioned every single essay had the name of the professor and the research area where I wanted to go. Now, this just tells the school that I am really interested. But what is the bigger purpose is, it gives me a reassurance about my career, right? So when I'm selecting the curriculum, and I'm sure now I want to go into wind energy and I want to start my career into that, it opens new areas for me to focus my energy on the right direction in my career. And one thing that I tell the students is, you have to realize what you have to what you are getting yourselves into, right? So if you are a person who does not like statistics or mathematics, and you take up a program that is very statistical, you're going to have a bad enough time for the 2 years. So kind of select something that is in areas in sync with what you like, also something according to your capability level, and something learning wise, something that you've already covered. That is the next level that you have to pick up once you're researching, right? And that also links with the third topic here, which is the check the subjects of study. So in every course you have the course curriculum, wherein the list of course modules is given. You have the core modules, you have the electives, right? Core modules are the mandatory ones which you are bound to pick up. Generally there's a number that is given, so they tell you to pick up maybe four core modules out of the list of 10 or 15, right? And you have some electives. Now these electives is also something you need to look at. Most of the students don't even look at the elective list. This is the list that exactly tells you what scope you have in that school post your masters, right? And what all can you explore in the research or projects once you are there, right? And eventually, of course, we've already covered that you need to read about the faculty. You need to compare the kind of faculty you might get hands on to, right? So like Columbia has somewhere around 61 faculty members, particularly for an MBA program, right? But if I talk about a normal school like ASU, they just have 9, right? And even though the number of students who are going to ASU is much more, right? Now that means the attention span, the quality education, it automatically is proportional, right? So therefore read about the faculty members. If you want to know more on how to do that, or from where can I do that, reach out to us via the one-to-one session and we'll tell you how to exactly go to your faculties, right? And last thing is research about the accreditation that your particular course has, right? So for example, I'm going to maybe a psychology program, like Sadhya is actually looking for a psychology program. Now it is a kind of program that needs license later on, right? So I need my course needs to have some accreditations before I can get into that, right? On this call, I think we have Aditya, right? So Aditya is going for a naval architecture and marine engineering program, right? And particularly his target segment is UK, right? Now within UK, the first check we had to do is Navy being very closely related to this kind of course. It's a very critical course. It is not given to anybody just like that. Neither can any university offer it like that, right? So one check we had to do mandatorily is we had to check every curriculum, the kind of subjects according to his interest. But the second thing is the kind of accreditation the university has, so that once he is graduated, he actually has something more trustworthy, something credible to present to every company he's applying to, or if he's applying for a future study, right? So this is a quick snapshot of all these pointers here. So I hope this gives you clarity. Yeah.
Great, great. I think that was a good point where certain courses need the licensures going abroad, and I can see there are a lot of students. Also, students, can you just on our Q&A, you can click on the broadcast to all whenever you are asking doubts, because if the person doubts are here, obviously we'll answer to it, but your doubts can be someone other's doubts as well. So that will be help clear doubts of many students at once. Now, moving on, I think this was a step 4, and coming to the conclusion, coming to the step 5. This is the biggest, myth that people are having, and we are debunking this. We are, on a mission, to be honest, for the past 6-7 years to debunk this, right? What is partner versus premium school? What changes, right? I'm sure you guys have attended a lot of webinars, sat with a lot of counselors. If this is your first webinar, great, you have got a lot of clarity also. But unfortunately, if I just talk about my case scenario, I didn't have this much clarity when I was going in for top universities, right? I just had the mindset I have to get into the top 10 of Europe or top 20 of US, but I didn't have the clarity of these many filters, how to align things, etc. And what exactly happens in this industry, in this counseling industry, is there are a lot of people who have opened shops that are working on a commission basis, right? So I'll just explain it on a very simple, in a layman language, as a student, what I felt, and how, with the right guidance, I got into the top universities. Pragya ma'am also had a similar experience on finding it was much difficult then to find out the right way to do things. Right now, yes, you have the online medium, but also if you check 100 websites, only 2 websites have the actual content that can get you into the top university, right? So we are debunking that in on this particular workshop live. This workshop is pan India. Although yes, you might not think it's such a big thing, but after 7 years, after catering to thousands of students, after sitting on one-on-one sessions for hours and hours and hours, we have seen this again and again. So that's why it's a big factor for us when we are breaking down the truth to you. How does this industry works is basically they send you to tier 2 or tier 3 universities. The other particular people who have just opened shops of consulting, they'll just send you to tier 2, tier 3 universities. How does this work is they don't charge you, they send you to these tier 2, tier 3 universities, get a commission, and they don't understand the ripple effect of this. You went into a university that was not exactly according to your profile. You could have gotten into like 20 ranks above, 30 ranks above, 50 ranks above. All we are constantly mapping Anmol's case scenario, so I am sure you guys remember her profile as well. And you will see what Anmol was advised, and when she came to us, she was almost helpless. And where is she right now? You will see the entire change, right? Anmol had a 7.5 CGPA, 3 years of experience, no GMAT GRE, right? And the best school that she could get, that also is coming up in the slides. You will understand why are partner schools promoted, because people get commission over it. So don't get misguided. It's as simple as that. You might be eligible for the best university, but you can be misguided towards a very decent or very normal university. And when we are putting 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs of our own money, as Indian people, we understand, coming from middle class backgrounds, 50, 60 lakhs is a huge sum when we invest it into one project, and that project has to give you the biggest ROI ever, right? What exactly changes? Top exposure matters, right? What exactly changes here is if you get into the tier 2 university, just imagine in India, if you're going to a tier 2 or tier 3 university, you're already looked from that perspective. Similarly, in abroad, also that matters. Yes, there are a lot of students that come up to me and say, it's all about skill in US. Definitely. Now, I have just one counter question. Recession is right around the corner, right? There are going to be layoffs. You read news, you guys are updated with everything. You know the companies have already started layoffs. Do you think they will let go a Harvard, graduate, or a Stanford graduate, or a top 50 university graduate, Boston University graduate, or a Columbia graduate, or they will let go of a person that has graduated from some state university down in the rankings? It's a very logical question. That was what the theme of this entire workshop was. If you are getting better, why to settle for less? Right? If I'm giving you a BMW, why do you want to go in an Alto? It's as simple as that, right? So that's why I played that, icebreaker game with you guys, because it was important to set that notion that you deserve better, so you should get that better or the best university that you can get into, right? So more than me, Pragya ma'am also has experiences with various students. So Pragya ma'am, you can also share your insights on, we have been on this mission together for like years now, partner versus premium, and we have promoted the top universities so much. What has your experience been, and what exactly, if you have to encapsulate within like 2-3 lines, how can you tell them, how can you tell the students to target the better universities?
All right. So I think this actually starts with my own experience. Years back, reminding about my age, but I think when I was there and I was looking for consultants, who could help me out, I went there asking help for Wharton, and I just came back with a list of partner schools, and that too for Canadian colleges. And there was my first question that, okay, is there something lacking with my profile after 3 years of experience? And it was not just one person, it was multiple people telling me. And yes, there were some nice enough people to tell me, yes, you can do this book, but it comes with a hefty amount which I could not afford back then, right? I didn't want to pay anybody 5-6 lakh to get me through any school rather. Now, after so many years, right, what we realized is the entire system of the universities, how they work, and that is where the difference of partner versus premium comes in, right? For me, I think the most important thing is that if you think your profile has the potential to a better ranking, have confidence on that. Yes, we need to approach with the logic, right, with eligibility criterias. Not everybody can get to Stanford, but if you have a question that can I even try, can I get to Stanford, do it. Because when people told me that I cannot get through water at 8.1, I did that. I just had 1.5 years of experience, right? The point is, yes, you need to believe in that process. It requires efforts, right? But stay on the fact that the ROI is something that is going to change your entire life, right? So trust into schools that are going to turn out good for you in the future. Ranking is a metric by which you can get that. And of course, what I see on the slide is which ranking to prefer. You have a lot of them. You have QS ranking, right? You have, US news. I think for me, the first ranking that you have to select is the course wise ranking, right? Just go after that and you should be able to get through, right? So Nikhil, we can cover up next slides now.
Okay, great. So those are the 5 steps, guys, in total. If you guys were making notes, this was the end, like the 5 steps, right? Moving on, there is some additional step, also very important. Actually, we have been building up the suspense of what happened with Anmol as well, right? So just again refreshing your minds, I'll just write it in the Q&A section. The GPA was just 3.0, 3 years of experience, and no GMAT GRE, right? So this was the profile in a snapshot, and the best that she could get out of the other consultants, the partner universities as we call them, where people get commission, was Arizona State University, right? I'm not saying Arizona State University is a bad university, but she was looking at the course MS in Business Analytics. MS in Business Analytics में Arizona State University is not in the top 30, top 50, not in the top 70 universities. That means it's a little outside of the tier one, because Arizona State University gave those counselors a little commission of like 3-4 lakhs or whatever it is. We don't want to get into nitty gritties, but that is the best university that she could get in from other counselors. And she came to us by December or January. It was already a little late. So, any guesses, guys? Where did she actually land into? Any particular guesses on where did, with this profile, she could have landed into, or any particular university that you guys think would definitely, right? uh, you know where did she go, and what kind of acceptance also she got? Okay, again, people are messaging in the private, guys. Use the broadcast one. and revealing it, it was Boston University, right? So Questrom School of Business, that is 13th rank for MSBA. From beyond 70, from beyond 100, we came down to the top 13, top 15 of MSBA, right? And this was not all, we didn't just apply to Boston, it was like luck admit. If you see, learn about Boston University, its MSBA curriculum is beautiful. It has internships in it. It is one of the highest, best ROI universities ever, and less than 20% acceptance rate. The average class age was 27 and above. She was a 25-year-old student, right? Plus, you get the Boston experience, the New York to Boston, as we call it, the Eastern Coast lane from New York to Boston. You get to live there, and you need to get the experience of a lifetime for 2 years, right? And if I just skip to what her actual shortlist was, it was even better. There were Columbia, there were USC Marshall. USC Marshall, after the Ivies, USC Marshall has the best MS in Business Analytics program, and it was also on her list. So if you see, actually, her profile didn't lack anything. Her profile had everything, as I have mentioned again and again. If you are eligible and then you are competitive, she was eligible even to Columbia, and Columbia waitlisted her again. Guys, mark this. She didn't get a reject. She got a waitlist. I could have easily avoided this, but I wanted you guys to know that even Columbia was appreciative of the effort, of the essays, of the SOPs, of the interview that went with Columbia. They were really impressed by the profile. Just a 3 years of experience and how to describe it. Obviously, we did a lot of things in the background. Within 2 months, we revamped her entire profile. There was a lot of work. That's a magic spark that we can add to your profile as well. And then she got a waitlist from Columbia and a admit from Boston University, and not just a normal admit with a 20 lakh scholarship, right? So it's not an easy thing to bag such a huge scholarship, and you can see the difference that the right shortlist can make in your entire life, right? Imagine going to Arizona State, or even, Arizona State was the best university offered, not even a guaranteed offer letter. We guaranteed an offer letter out of these five universities that you can see on your screen. NYIT was the safest, UIC, Boston, USC Marshall, and Columbia, and she got into the first third. Even UIC, she got an admit, but that was very late, so she couldn't, track it down, or she didn't want to go forward because Boston was already there. UIC had an MBA in business analytics rather than an MSBA, right? So all of these, this is the actual university shortlist that she deserved, and the best she got outside from the wrong advice, I would say, would just be Arizona State University, right? So that is the huge thing. That's what this entire 1 hour has been about. What exactly do you deserve? Now, I remember Jyotirmay's profile, I think he has shared. Jyotirmay, I think you will get a good idea of what you actually deserve. And there are some in private as well, but I think Jyotirmay posted it on the broadcast thing. So I think you know what you can deserve, what you deserve, and where you should actually target to go. And this is what you guys actually deserve. Indian students have a lot of potential. You just need to follow the right steps. Pragya ma'am, any insights on this? Because this was like a huge success, and I'll move forward to Anmol's recent LinkedIn post as well to just to give the authenticity. So she was very happy when she got into Boston. Any insights on that?
I think with Anmol, we had always been, she was again a very sweet student. She had her priorities set, but the first sentence when she came in and said that I'm being pitched some of the partner schools, I don't know, I really don't want to go there. And honestly, it was just a normal call she made to us, right? And turned out somehow she got my number directly. So I was actually the first person to speak with her, right? And her first sentence was, I don't want this. I can't invest into something randomly which is not going to get me a good admit, right? Or a good future. Now, ASU से जो Boston की journey है, it was again not easy, right? Firstly, we had to follow all these 5 steps, which is why this workshop was really important, right? At every time it requires strategy. What I'm going to tell you guys from learning that we got from Anmol is, one, have that confidence, right, on your profile, on your skill set, right? Next, make a strategy. Don't just apply randomly, right? We all know that the top 10 list is there and we want to apply to the IVs, but is that suiting us or not? That's what we have to decide. So apply with a strategy, don't just get into it. I think apart from that, what we have on the screen is the top 3 mistakes, right? So I think what we can take as a learning from Anmol's case is actually just to follow these 5 steps very, very particularly, right? And now I think let's quickly cover the 3 mistakes that students make, which are also in sync with the 5 steps.
Right. I think you gave a great cue that what exactly people were doing wrong or what Anmol was doing wrong. And we followed, I was a personal mentor for Anmol, so we followed exactly these 5 steps. First of all, we narrowed down the course, MS Business Analytics or MBA Business Analytics also. She didn't like many of the MBA Business Analytics, just UIC. The curriculum was really good. Then we moved on to universities that actually appreciate work experience more than academia, right? So Columbia always looks at holistic profiles as well. So her work experience came in handy, and when we showed how much experience she had in the business analytics domain or something related to it, they were really impressed. Boston, USC Marshall, all of them were really impressed. So they was not rejected in the round one of any universities. So the paper application was so good when we because of this 5 step shortlisting. The top 3 mistakes that people make here is not applying correct filters. It's very evident, guys, not applying correct filters. There are around 20, 25 filters that you can have. You have to just pick your 5 filters, put it on every university, look at the data and see if you are, it's again not a rocket science, not magic, just logic, right? Then not identifying class profile. Now, if you go to Google and search about MS Business Analytics, there'll be a lot of other universities that provide MS Business Analytics, right? If you go towards the Western coast, there are Cal States, right? The California Tech, there is Seattle University, on in NYU has a business analytics course, right? Why didn't we apply there? Because Boston University is actually the class profile in Boston University matched with her. We had also suggested her some NGO work, and Boston University really appreciates that. Plus, Boston University has special scholarships for women entrepreneurs, right? So there are a lot of key things, very niche things when it comes to just university selection and the class profile that every university looks at, and make sure that you're mapping it right to get a very good admit. It's definitely when we are advising you to go top university, we are not saying that every top university is waiting for you. There is a certain top university that is just waiting for a profile like you, and you just need to identify that, right? And the last is partner versus premium. So I think with Anmol's case, we have the clarity of what partner school is, what premium school is, right? The best partner that you can get is Arizona State, whereas in premium, there is no limit, guys. There is no limit. It just depends on your hard work, your skill, your smart approach, your logical approach on how to make a shortlist for yourself, right? Obviously, the SOPs, the essays, the LORs, the interviews, those are very important factors, but those are something that is in your control, right? Something that you can still handle at this point of time. Your CGPA is not something that you can control anymore, right? So look at the controllables and move forward accordingly, right? So these are the top 3 mistakes, and these are 2 LinkedIn posts that I really wanted to share with you guys. One is Anmol. She has shared her journey to the Questrom School of Business. She worked at Mu Sigma. You can see just the 3 years of experience. She got a merit scholarship. You can see it on the LinkedIn as well. You can search her about on the LinkedIn. You can see her post. Another one is one of my favorite students named Udit. Now, it's a very interesting case scenario that I just want to take 1 minute to share. He was a distance BBA student, guys. Distance learning, 7.5 CGPA, no GMAT, GRE, no work experience, just a fresher. He got into Simon Business School, that is University of Rochester. That is again 15th rank for MS in Finance. This was one of the best admits that I would say in my journey also. From a distance BBA guy going to the 15th round in US without a GMAT GRE and being starting a new position as the Simon School Venture Capital Fund, right? So he has gone there. He's using his investing skills as much as possible, and I'm still in connect with him. You can also look for him on LinkedIn, right? So these are two case studies that will really help you. You can see these are not things that we are just telling you to impress you guys. This is some real stuff that we have seen lives changing here. We have seen careers changing, taking a dramatic turn, and it's always the turn towards higher, universities or better profiles, right? So yeah, time for the giveaway, guys. So I think thank you for sticking out for more than 1.5 hours. Oh, sorry. So we have gone way beyond our time. We had decided to close it at 1 hour, but I think yeah, we have been really interactive, and I think there was so much stuff to cover when we are covering things about a career. We take it very seriously, and that's why I think that we are at 1.5 hour mark. Ma'am, anything that you want to add to it before we conclude this session? Obviously, the giveaway will be here. You can see in your Q&A section. There'll be a link. Plus, it will be sent to you guys automatically. Also, all the people who have registered and have attended, it will be sent to your email IDs as well. Ma'am, any closing words from your side?
What I'm going to tell everybody is that I understand you might be at different stages of your application. Some of you might be just planning. Some of you might have already, gotten started. Some of you might have made your applications already. Some of you might have offers rejects. What I want to tell you, if you're not really sure or if you're somewhere compromising, seeing where you're going with the offers or your strategy right now, it's never too late to re-strategize, right? So before making any decision like that, let us take a step back. Let's re-strategize. And of course, you have the link on the chat section to come to us and talk directly. For people like Jyotirmai, who have specifically given their profile, I would definitely say that just fill out that form, right? And of course, we'll reach out to you. We'll talk to you in person about your profile, right? I would just tell you that chase up your dreams. It is never too late. And of course, it's tough. It's not that easy that everybody gets to a top 10 rank school. But just putting in the right efforts will get you through, right? And I'm here to help all of you guys along with a wonderful team. Nikhil has been here for so many years trying to tell students what works and what does not, right? And Nikhil is also here to get onto that call with you for a free shortlist review, as we say, right? But more on to strategize your study abroad process. I'm here, the entire team is here. Talk to us, and I'm sure we'll be able to kind of get something to your profile or get you closer to your dream school, right? Thank you all for your time, of course, right? And we will soon actually be in a habit of doing all these workshops really, really quickly. So we might come back to you in the next weeks for the next set of workshops. I think you can comment down your, maybe if you have some topics that you would want us to do a workshop on so that we can prioritize them. If you want us to particularly talk about maybe, the SOPs, maybe profile enhancement, just put down in the chat section right away and we'll strategize and come up to you with that workshop. Yeah.
Great, great. Guys, the form is live on the chat section. You can just fill out the form. You can book a one-on-one session. It's completely free. Again, people ask if it is charged or not. It's completely free, guys. We will definitely guide you towards your the very best shortlist, right? And the giveaway, that was the list of GRE and GMAT waiver universities. Those will reach to your email directly. You have attended this. Thank you so much for listening for 1.5 hours. That's a humongous time on a Saturday. I know that many people are working and Saturdays are like the chill time because Sunday passes on like a, just in a jiffy. But everybody, you can fill out that form, get in touch with us. We'll definitely provide you the shortlist. And kudos to you guys. Hope you saw your dreams and aim higher. That's the only thing, right? The agenda of this workshop was aim higher. You deserve better. Just know the facts before you can shortlist your courses, right? So with that, calling this to an end, feel free to connect with us directly, right, by filling out the form, and feel free to reach out on our website or any particular email ID that you can find. We are always looking forward to meet certain students that are looking for, top universities. And as soon as this webinar ends, you will be directly, redirected towards our website. You can look at what our top admits are. You can fill out the form as well. Okay, perfect, guys. So I'm calling this to the end. Right. Thank you again so much for listening to us, and you can definitely go to our website and let us know what you think. And hope to see you soon next Saturday or the next Saturday, coming Saturdays as much as possible. Right. Okay. Take care, guys. So closing this off.